Episode 4. We're here.
Hi.
What's going on?
Oh, just drinking some coffee.
Classic.
Making it normal.
Can't smell it at all. Episode 4, Two Trainers Podcast.
Hey,
We're
guys.
Go.
So, first question. What shoes are you wearing today, Scott?
Yeah, we got them Jordan 1s. I got these in LA last year, actually. They're slip-on Jordan 1s. Yeah. You want to know a random secret, which I probably should have said was a quirk?
What?
They're women's.
Oh, right. Scott likes to wear women's shoes.
I don't like to, but it's just some good deals. Like, you know, sometimes they're unisex. You can't tell. I mean, maybe because
It sucks because, like, they're $59 for, like, a size women's 10 because no one female is a size 10.
That's the clutch move. Large women feet, this guy.
I'm wearing Pumas.
Yeah, what do you got? Yeah, those are sick.
Yeah, these are Pumas. Cool. Good story. I saw them for, like, what, 200? Ended up sniping them for like 49, so
yeah,
that's a win today.
Yeah, it's a good deal for sure.
I never buy full discount shoes or full price shoes. You?
No.
What's your shoe hack? Besides the woman, I guess the woman is.
You just wait a year.
Yeah.
Like if you there's a 2020 model that comes out, wait till 2021, and then 2020 buy the 2019.
Yeah.
So just always purchase the year previously.
And Twassen Mills.
Yeah, Twassen Mills for sure. But I mean, you look on, just if you're going. I'm not an innovator early adopter type. I don't need like the new thing right away. I'll catch it on a discount like way later. So
like our Apple Watches?
Yeah, it's like clearly.
We got some Apple Watches this week, guys. Let's just say my favorite thing is
getting adjusted.
Literally tracking all of my clients and sending those like weird, quirky text messages back.
Yep.
What's the favorite thing of yours? This Apple Watch.
You know, it's been interesting to see. It's cool to see the tracker of clients and everybody else's movement. I think that's cool to see. Favorite part, DJing at work. It's nice to kind of like, have the phone in the charger, so I never leave work with a dead phone because we're always DJing music.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, it's great. So
my favorite thing is the new talk and text, so I can
Spice Girls, Skip, Shania
text
Twain,
people.
Keep.
Yeah, my favorite thing is the talk and text on here. See, I'm texting someone right now. That's my favorite thing. So
right, I haven't mastered that one yet.
I'll teach you, and you'll love it. My cousin made fun of me. She's like, "This is the queen of multitasking. Learning more multitasking tools."
Yeah.
And you hate multitasking, don't you?
I don't hate it. I just think I think it's overused sometimes. I think people get really confused. Like I'm doing 6 things at once. It's like I've just seen people like you ever watch somebody multitask?
Like making 6 businesses at once, you mean?
Sure. Go for it. Again, I think it's great when people try things like I do it my way or whatever. But watching people, I always root for people to do well.
I think multitasking comes in some people can do it and some people can't.
Well, you gotta train. There's certain things that you can. It's like chewing gum and like writing. Like that's a multitask. But it's like, can you cook, do dishes, do laundry, and then feed your kid efficiently at all the exact same time?
Kid might starve. Not gonna lie.
Might get away with it a few times, but I've seen I've saved a few house floods.
But I will say that the books that we've read with male entrepreneurs, no offense or anything, have stated that multitasking doesn't actually work.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it to a certain extent. I think we try, right? We really try to, multitask as best as we can, but it's not easy to do. And like I said, I think once you kind of see how it is to be like one track focus, for me in school and sports was always a funny thing to compare because when I went to school after I was done with sports, I did so much better than when I was playing sports and going to school.
Well, yeah, that's...
And vice versa. I had some seasons where I was just playing sports and I just was like, wow, it's so easy just to train and focus on one thing opposed to time management as a young person is so tough. Mm-hmm. It's a really hard thing to pick up at a young age. But I mean, it's trial and error, right?
Yeah.
Well, shall we get to the nitty gritty?
Yeah, let's get on it. So my first question, obviously, is the Mediterranean diet. How's it going for you? It's week 2 now? I'm
getting the chills. No, it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's like I said, it's the diet that I'm kind of used to. It's going pretty good. I bench pressed one more rep on 185.
Okay.
Squatted.
You mean 285?
No, 185. I did 185 for 10 reps before I started. Then I did 11 reps the other day.
Okay.
I squatted almost, I think it was 295 opposed to 275. Not saying it's correlated with the diet. It's a lot of it's just, chipping away and being consistent.
Favorite thing about the diet so far that you've done?
I just like the different flavors of the meals that you can do. It's your tomatoes, spinach, and rice, and feta. Everything's on the table, and you can kind of change the ratios up. I like that. You can have you get diverse proteins, right? Yep. It's been nice having a couple pieces of fish that I haven't had in a long time. Okay. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a nice balanced diet. I could see why some people would struggle if they wanted to go for a weight loss aspect because it is the primary is the carbohydrate
and the fat, right?
Yeah, it's just carbs as its primary fuel source. It's more than even protein. They want to eat more carbs than anything, right? So if you look into it, look at There's a really good book by Walter Longo. It's called The Longevity Diet. And he does a lot of research with there's a village in Italy that has a lot of centenarians that are over there, and you see their diet, and it's a lot of pastas, it's a lot of oils, like protein is like once a week, like on a Sunday with like some white fish, and that's pretty much it. So, but yeah, you really got to have a good relationship with your carbs.
I think my brother and I listened to that exact podcast when we were driving to Fernie, and I think they said actually the community as well in the Italian village was what really kept people living longer as well. I think they said, is that what they said in the book too?
Yeah,
they said
for
food
sure.
and connection with people around was the two things that kept people alive till they were 100.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, simple ways of living, exchanging goods, just walks and outdoors, community markets, and it was a really cool book.
Awesome. Anything that you hate so far about the Mediterranean diet? Is there anything like dislike, any like weird things that you want to let us know?
That I hate about it? Nothing that I would say I would hate about it per se. I think that's going to come.
So it's positive.
Yeah. I think the next 30 days is going to be more of that. It'll be interesting conversation.
Weight gain, like putting mass on or anything like that? Have you like weighed yourself again besides
Actually
bench press?
haven't.
Oh, go jump on the scale.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I haven't dove on it.
There you go.
Oh, reporter Scotty. Okay. We're going to delve into one of my favorite topics, training.
Shocking.
And fear. So that's something that that's been coming up, and with the pandemic, and fear is a common thing. You hear a lot of with young kids and anxiety and fear. So working with a client who has a fear of some, and we've seen all different types of fears of being in a gym, fears of box jumps, fears of sprints or doing something new, essentially. When a client comes forth with a certain type of fear in some regard, how do you handle it and essentially try to get them to do something that they're not really comfortable doing?
Make them do it or kick them out.
Exactly. Yeah, just
I'm not joking.
I'm
not joking.
Get on it or get out of here.
But no, on all seriousness, when people, so box jumps is obviously a fear for a lot of people, or I get a lot of like, I know I posted on social media, but I get a lot of like, I can't do that. I'm like, oh yes, you can. Yeah. And I usually, like if it's a mom, I'm like, well, you've pushed 1, 2, 3 kids out of you. You've labored for you've had a child in you for 9 months, and then you've labored. Do you think you can still do a box jump? And they're like, oh yeah, I can probably do a box jump now, Yeah. So I kind of, when someone says I can't do something, I kind of show them what they have done, or like, look what you couldn't do 4 weeks ago, and look what you can do now. I'm never going to program something that my client cannot do.
Yeah.
I'm never going to give someone a box jump if they have bad knees or if they already have a fear of the gym. Like, I'm going to wait until they can get confident and comfortable, and then I'm going to throw them something that I know is a challenge.
Ability ongoing,
Yeah, that would be the number one thing.
Yeah.
Besides kicking them out right away. Yeah. Just kidding.
Fear,
what about you?
Fear is big. Well, for me, I think I've grown more to understand fear a little bit. It's I think the first thing for me is trying to make whatever they're scared of not so massive, not bigger than what it is.
Okay.
We're in a gym and it's working out. It's not like war. It's not like going to the front lines or skydiving kind of thing.
Totally.
It's at the end of the day, I believe we're in a controlled environment. You're under our care, and like I said, it's don't make this bigger than what it is. This is just, but at the same time, being sympathetic in the sense that when something's new, people are going to be kind of apprehensive for the most part if they're not used to challenging themselves throughout their life, or then you're going to have some fear. But we're here, we're going to do it together. I will say though, when someone says that, starts to use that verbiage of I'm scared of doing this, that makes me want to coax them into embracing that a little bit more, because it's a lot of it is developing listening skills too helps with understanding people's fear and helping them work with it and try to be okay, well, that's something that we're scared of. Let's use that as a goal to make you not scared of it anymore.
Totally.
At least develop a relationship with it, right? So it's kind of tempting, and you got to do it with care, because you can't just you know what, you're scared of it, let's do it. It's well, let's explore it and let's ease into it, and let's definitely set a goal to make that you're not scared of that.
What do you think is the biggest fear? I know box jumps is one of them, but for you and your clients, what do you think one is the biggest fear that you hear commonly enough when they come into the gym? What is their fear?
I think just anything correlated with failure. I think it's I think when there's a fear of failure of some nature, or looking like they could be embarrassed or something, I think that's the biggest thing. From whatever, it could be an array of things, but I think failure and just embarrassment are two things that they don't want to be looked at, which is totally fine. Nobody wants to be pointed and laughed at if you fall or trip, right? But it's that's why if somebody ever falls, it's not I'm just gonna be like, oh, it's all good. You just try to act like.
I usually do the whole like nobody saw you kind
Yeah,
of
like,
thing.
no-
I'm
yeah,
like,
no-
no one
no
saw
one
you.
saw you,
I'm like,
don't
hurry up,
worry.
get up, no one saw you, right?
You're good. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Happens all the time. You're like even with the rower, it's like when people start to hum it up pretty good,
Yep.
and like their butt slips off.
Yeah,
and
and
like,
they fall right off. I fall off.
I've fallen off too.
Yeah,
like it's
for sure,
it's
it happens.
abrupt,
Yeah.
and anybody who's rode out there and done any road sprints, and I'm sure like plenty have, when you've pulled hard and you lose that postural position and that pad slips out, you hammer your tailbone on that
Oh, yeah,
metal
it's
rock.
or you fall right off like I have.
It's abrupt. Yeah, it's an abrupt
embarrassing.
ending. You're like boom, and like there's no.
But I've done it, so don't feel embarrassed.
We've all done it.
So I kind of like coach
Yeah.
people. I'm like, look, I've fallen off of it. If you
Yeah.
fall off of it, like, don't even worry.
It's more of a welcome to the tribe.
Yeah, it's like you're a really badass
opposed to
gym
like,
person.
oh my god, like you're the only person in history to ever do that. I think that's a big thing too, is knowing that like you're not the only person
yeah,
who feels this way.
yeah.
You're not alone.
You have 2 trainers right here, 12 years, 7 years, and we both fell off rowers, so you're good.
Of course. Done a
Falling
lot
off
of stuff.
treadmills, too.
You see me on the workplace, I drop my phone 92 times a day
Yeah.
and almost trip probably 38 times
I actually
a
have
day.
a dent in my leg from doing a box jump on the wooden box.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a gash. It was disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think I've banged my hand,
Nope.
but I've never
Oh, really?
actually like on the the old metal boxes when you use your arms to jump, and I've smacked and sliced my finger on it.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Okay, what is your most awkward personal training story?
Most awkward personal training story?
What is the most, like, it can be like.
with a client or
Oh, yeah, with a
just
client. Yeah, of course. This is.
awkward with a client? Like
I don't know.
I don't wanna.
He doesn't want to say it, but you have to say it. I just asked you.
There's been some farts,
I feel like that's not.
but it's all good. Like it is
The
what it is.
farting
Like,
isn't even bad. Is it? It's just natural.
yeah, it's just whatever. I'm never gonna act like, oh my god, right? Like I don't ever want to embarrass somebody. It's gonna happen.
I don't think I've ever had a
Right?
client
Early
fart.
morning
Oh,
stuff,
wait, I
right?
have, yeah.
Early mornings, it happens. Like people have their
A squat
coffees or
fart?
whatever. What's that?
Squat and fart.
Whatever. Like sit ups. Who knows, man? Like it happens. But I just sort of act cool, and it's like whatever. Like we're putting in work. Like things are gonna get a little ugly at certain times, right?
All right. Okay. There you go. Farting. Interesting.
Flatulence. Do you got one that's
I don't know. I
embarrassing
asked
personal
the
training
question.
story?
I was like, if he turns it back on me, I don't think I have one.
I've seen some great ones.
Most awkward personal
really
training
good ones.
story. No, not really. I don't think.
With your own self, like you never like came with your pants on backwards. Or...
Oh well, I came with my shirt on backwards the other day.
Yeah.
And I think it was with Rory
I've had
actually,
my
and I
pants
like.
on backwards.
No, I don't think I've ever done that. Actually, I got a really funny story.
Okay. The floor is yours.
So one time I forgot to brush my teeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was like 6 a.m. and Becca was here, and so I just used your toothbrush.
Mine? Oh. Oh.
And I told Becca, I was like, I just had to use Scott's toothbrush.
Every training place I ever worked, I always have a work toothbrush.
I had to use his toothbrush. I did pour hot water on it before and afterwards.
That's what my sister would do.
I did. I poured hot water on it
What?
afterwards. It's disgusting. Sharing a toothbrush. I know you hygienists, your dentists out there. Sam's probably like, and Laura's probably like, oh, gross. But I'm not joking you. I took hot water. I boiled it really good. Then I brushed my teeth, and then I boiled it again.
That's a come on, man.
I'd be a personal.
on, man.
Okay, anyways, that's all. We're gonna move on from that.
Show over.
That was literally like 2 years ago. Like that was
2
a long
years
time
ago?
It was pre-pandemic.
Show's over.
All right.
We got one. We both have dogs, and we both have dogs in kind of similar circumstance. Post breakup, we've both been kind of the primary caregivers of these dogs. What's something the Truff Man has taught you, being a primary caregiver of your pup?
God, I'm wearing mascara, waterproof mascara. Well, I had that stare with Truffles last week. You know that, right? So we found a lump on
He
Truffles.
seems to freak you out like bi-weekly.
Well, he's old. He's
Runs
10 now. I
away,
know.
like, you know.
Likes to run away, all that kind of stuff. So I had a scare with Truffles last week. He's totally fine. He had a bump on his leg. We took him to the vet right away. It was just a fatty lymph node or whatever it is. But I think he's really taught me like how to actually care for someone that completely relies on you.
Mm-hmm.
Because my dog can't walk himself. He can't feed himself. He can't go to the bathroom by himself. I have to open the doors, right? It's someone that's like completely reliant on you. And I think that has taught me a lot.
Yeah, you're all they've got.
I'm all they got,
Yeah.
right? And that's what terrifies me. It's like not terrifies, but that's what I feel so sad about is like, am I a good enough mom to this dog? I know it sounds really silly, but if you own dogs, you understand. It's like, does he get out for walks enough? Is he getting enough love? Does he have enough pets, right? Like he eats great. Like his dog food is so expensive, but like, is that enough for him? You know, like you think, you come to the door and it's like, they think about you all day long, right? So I think that was a big thing. Actually, post my ex leaving, I actually asked someone that owned Dapper Dog, and I said, does my dog know how sad, because my dog's sad that he left, and they're like, he'll be sad until he can't smell him anymore. So when dogs lose the scent of that person, they forget about them.
Interesting.
So I was actually really worried. I'm like, is my dog like heartbroken that he walked away and that he's never going to see him again?
Yeah.
And she's like, he will be. She's like, but it's been like months, and she's like, and you are barely home. She's like, and he's at your your parents' house, so he doesn't know anymore. So he doesn't even think of my ex, which makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What is it that Charlie taught you?
Well, Charlie came at a time. There's no doubt that they teach you responsibility. Like Char came. I think I got her when I was 29. So like in that time when people are working and like, they want to have maybe an after work drink to decongest after the work week, and you're like, you know what, I gotta get home because I gotta get to my pup. Like it was a nice out, and then you just realize that you're probably living a healthier life because you're avoiding these certain situations because you've got a responsibility to take care of something at home. Char's she's like a bit of a symbol of adversity for me too. Like when me and my ex had split, it was just me and her, and after it was about maybe like 6 months into when we had her as a puppy, and then I had clients like at my previous job like offered to buy her because like they knew it was gonna be tough being like a single guy alone with a Rottweiler, but I'd put in like so much work with her, like potty trained, like we developed I was in a rhythm at that time, and I was like, there was no real they were offering me double, triple, quadruple for her, and I was like, man, I just cannot. The easy thing would have been like, yeah, sure, put her on, because I took her, a client of mine would watch her at night when I was at work, and he had a farm out in White Rock, and they loved her, obviously. Char's awesome, right? So they were totally willing to just take her off my hands, and it would have been easy, like, especially at the time when you need some money, and, you're worrying about the transition of getting out of a relationship, and it was so. But that was the best thing. Like I was hard no against it. I was like, no, this is mine. I gotta see this through, and I felt like I just can't quit on her. Yeah.
Well, I almost gave up truffles like a couple of years ago, right? Like pre-pandemic, right? I was like struggling. Like if it wasn't for the dog patch, I would have taken them. Like I couldn't do it. I was here 6 a.m. to like 9 p.m. My parents weren't living here; they were in Fernie, and I was like, I can't. Now that they're home, it's better, right? Yeah. He always has them. He's upstairs or downstairs with my dad working, but. Before that, it was just like, I was like, I can't do this, right? My dog is home alone for too long, so.
Yeah, well, it actually goes into my next question I was going to ask you.
But I didn't give him up. I was determined. I'm so happy I didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. They're worth their weight in gold.
Oh,
I love these pups.
He's got 5 years left.
So, like, with that, goes into my next question with, what advice should, like, a female know? Would you give a female running a business, going into running a business or a startup? What's a piece of advice that you would give someone of like the Gen Z variety coming up in the early 20s?
Ask questions. Sorry to interrupt, but ask.
I know you say ask questions, but I don't like.
I'll be more specific.
Okay, so,
I'll be more specific.
Because asking questions is like.
So many so many people, I don't want to generalize this, I'm going to get fired up about this. So many people out there starting business think they can do it by themselves. They come from like, say a corporate job like myself or something else, and they're like, I'm going to run a business, and I'm going to be great, and I'm going to do it, right? And they have people and sources and books around them, but they're like, no, I'm doing it my way, I'm doing it my way, I'm doing it my way. And hey, I was guilty of this, right? And they didn't use the resources around them to gain knowledge and information that can help them build a proper business. So you have to read, you have to take self-care, you have to work out, and I'm sorry to say I have to, and I know you don't love that, but you have to educate yourself on how it is to run a business. Because yes, some flukes out there, like a business falls into their hands and they are able to run it, but you have to be able to educate yourself on how to properly efficiently run a business, because you're not going to be good at everything. Accounting, you're not going to be good at working with clients. You're not going to be great at running with employees. There's going to be something you're missing, and you need to find out how to become better at the stuff that you're not good at. So you may be great at marketing, but you might not be good at selling. So you need to figure out how you're going to sell. So when I say ask questions, it's like more so grab a mentor.
Find your weaknesses and then try to explore how to. You're going to have to ask questions about.
You're going to be great at some things,
I think
right?
we do see that a lot, and going into what you said is people think businesses. I don't say people think, but I think a lot of the times they think that it's always doing the thing that you love.
Yes.
And it's like, and there's so much stuff that you're just not going to enjoy, but it's like
accounting. Hate it.
Accounting.
Yeah.
whether it's like social media marketing, whether it's group functions, whether it's just employees, meetings.
Yep.
I can't stand meetings.
I love meetings.
Right?
See, that's why we're good. I love meetings.
Yeah. So like, and like, there's so many things that you're gonna, and then it's like when you might break it down, you'll see like, well, there's 9 things about this business I don't like, and there's 2, so that's where you might want to quit, right? But that's where 9, 2, and then purpose obviously becomes like a huge thing, because you're doing it for a reason and not, let's say, the vanity or let's say the coolness of running a business, because I still don't think it's, I mean, it's cool to have a successful business, but like as far as the process, like it ain't that cool.
No, it's not cool at all. Like some days, like I know me and my girlfriend, we joke, and it's like, wouldn't it be nice to just work corporate, like, work our hours and then walk away, and then like when we're having a bad day and then that day will pass, like I can't believe we just said that. Like it's actually like a running joke whenever like business gets tough. It's like, so should we go back and work at the boathouse and just work our regular hours and get salary? It's like, no, I'd never turn back. But
I know it's.
But it's true. I do believe that people focus so much on what they love. So like say like the social media aspect or the marketing, they forget about the stuff that actually is important. Like for say like maybe reaching out to clients and client connection and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the dirty work is definitely behind the scenes, right? And that's what really does build the platform of the business, right? So you can do the fun stuff that you want to do becomes easier.
So that's why I said like ask questions. Like ask questions to people that like you see are better in certain aspects.
Yeah, I do notice like some stuff now, and like a lot of this investing culture is coming about, and like with COVID, and there's people who are essentially like gambling with stocks and this and that, and like sometimes I wonder why people don't just follow success. Like why don't they just find, like say like all investors that I know, like say the Warren Buffetts and the Ray Dalio, whoever's like had a successful investment portfolio, like they say don't do this, but yet for some reason there's a lot of group of people who like ignore them. And it's like these guys have been doing it for years and years and years and years and years, and spent hours and hours and hours, like multiple hours on this craft, and yet like a certain generation will be like, you know what, I'm going to ignore the advice
because they don't think mentors are important. They don't think that they don't think like the Warren Buffetts, the Bezos and all that kind of stuff are as successful because they're not flashing their stuff on social media, whereas you've got like some little influencer who's made a good stock trade or anything that like, oh, I made $15,000 and I paid off my student loan. It's like, that's a one-off.
It's unfortunate because I mean like that's.
But you need to look into the Warren Buffetts and the freaking like, Jeffs and all that kind of stuff, and like the Mark Zuckerbergs, and those are the people that are actually, I'm sorry, I'm saying just men, but like those are the people who are actually living and breathing it. Stop looking at the people that are online that are just like,
yeah, it's just funny
fired up over here.
Well, even like I said in business, it's like there's people that you want to follow who have carved a path down. You don't have to have the exact same business, but you can. There's things that from a fundamental principle of like a team or that you want to have, and like leadership is a skill, and like working on leadership consistently is one of those things that it ain't easy, but it's necessary.
No, and we've talked about it before. It's great because you and I both have clients that run businesses as well, and it's like I love talking to them because it's a completely different field, but it's so relatable. So it's like I'm not afraid to ask those questions, and I'm like, hey, can I pick your brain? And they're like, absolutely, right? The people that want to help you and be successful won't be like, oh no, hiding all my secrets. They want to actually help you, and those people are the people you need to watch and look for, and that's what I love about it. Yeah, like there's the Roger Gers and stuff like that, right?
Very rarely will people just hold, unless you got like a business plan of some nature and you don't want to put a lot of pressure on yourself. But very rarely, I think a common thing that you'll hear is how hard it is to manage people. Yeah. And like it's like people are the hardest part of really anything, right? And it's so, and that's what I think we all share, no matter what business that you're in. It's like managing people, dealing with people, just good days and the bad. But that's all part of life.
That was the first. That was the one and only piece of advice my grandma ever said to me. I said it to Scott the other day. She ran a bowling alley, and she said, I said, why don't you hire
that was going to be
employees?
One of my questions.
Oh.
About Gran.
Yeah, my grandma. Right. Yeah, the thing is like she ran a bowling alley forever, as long as I known, right? And when I would go work with her and like hang out with her, I was like, you could just hire people and like be in Italy and like travel. And she's like, Liz, I closed the business for 2 months and that's my vacation because I don't trust anyone. And I was like, well, why? She's like, employees are the hardest people to manage. And it literally in my brain, whenever I think of like any sort of conflict I've had, I'm like, I always think about that.
Totally, yeah.
She's smart, yeah.
That's the thing with us, like this Fit Academy concept is trying to groom leaders, and that's I think what I really like about our business and the model is, it's not about employees and working under us. It's about building leaders in the fitness industry, which so they can be independent and we can collaborate, and like there's no hierarchy here, right? There's no like somebody might have started something, but everybody's an owner of their own destiny, right? And so like I said, with creating more leaders, you can have that freedom because they can make decisions. They have the confidence to kind of decide something. And it's like, hey, like, you know, your decision is, the only way you get better at decisions is making decisions.
Yeah.
You're going to fall on your face. It is what it is, right? So, but.
My question for you is, I love this question, is well, I'll continue with this.
Is that a Ghostbusters question?
Have you ever had to fire an employee?
Yeah.
Or sorry, that's a lie. Have you ever had to fire a client? And if so, how did you do it? So if you and a client never really mismatched, have you ever been like, you know, it's time for you to move on?
Honestly, I haven't actually had like a direct sit down being like, you gotta go. I've had conversations of being like, listen, like this is either not working for me personally from like let's, or the conversation would go as like, I know that what we're trying, it's not working, and I'm going to take the accountability of like, you know what, like you're not getting the results that for whatever, but I'm going to take the blame for this. So I was like, I'm willing to step back as your coach so you can figure out what you want to do. So I've had it's not a firing, it's more of like, I've had a few times where I've had to like, let's take a break so you can assess and see if we both can see if this is a relationship that we want to carry forth with. If we want to continue on, I want to think about it, you take some time to think about it, and then we can decide. But I'll do it because I can see somebody really struggling. And it's like, and when it comes to like training, it's like, if it's not a focus, that's when I'll have those conversations. Because like some people, like, you know, they want to keep it because it's something that they don't want to, you know, maybe it's the one thing that's kind of keeping them where they're at. And it's like, listen, like, that's not what this is for. Like, this is supposed to get you better. We're supposed to like set goals, and you got to uphold your end of the bargain as well as me. But I'll always take the blame for that. And so I'll have those conversations. But I haven't really been like, you know, you're out of here due to, you know, a breach of whatever the case. But I do have like, respect is big. And like, and I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of great, like very, very respectful clients, but that is a big thing, like respect of everybody. And, you know, like it's a place that you want to uplift people, not take them down. Right. So I'm glad I haven't had that conversation with somebody being like a bully or whatever, but you know, but I've worked for businesses that like the culture's there. So it's more of a supportive culture. And
I think the culture and the supportive culture really helps.
Like, it's big time. Like when you walk through the doors, like you should know that like, this is a place that you want to be. Like, it shouldn't be that like, you know, you're ignored, and you know, so it should be friendly. But anyway, what about you? You gave someone the old baseball.
I have. I don't know if we should. Yeah.
You're tossed.
Yeah, I have before. Yeah, I just said this isn't gonna work, and there was emails back and forth. And
really?
I think with females, it's a lot different because there's a lot more.
What's
emotions.
a reason? Like, what's a reason to let a client go if you're gonna talk to trainers? Like,
a reason to let clients go is when you are stressing about their development, when you're stressing about.
It's hard. It's not easy.
It's not, and I work with mostly females. You know, I only have like 3 males that I train now.
Yeah.
And it's, if you don't see the relationship between you and the client getting better, then you have to let them go. It was nothing bad. We left very amicably, but you know, I just said, I don't think this is working out between me and you. And I said, I take full responsibility for X, Y, and Z. I was like, but I think it's best that if you train with someone else. And you know, there's long emails back and forth, and I always refund money. Like, I always refund money. I'm like, okay, you know what? Here's your money. Whatever you need, take it on. Do you want another trainer? I suggest X, Y, and Z. So there was it was very amicable, but I did have to let one trainer go, or one client go. Yeah. It was hard too.
It's tough.
I mean, you helped me with that one, right? So
no,
it's hard because you don't want bad feelings back, and they're not bad people. It's just like your personalities just don't match. Right. But if you hold, I have stories. I'll leave it for a different day. I have had stories where I've kept people for too long, and it's just imploded. Like, it's been bad.
We do work
You
a
also saw
job
that
where
one,
like
right? So
we catch people at times like right when they wake up, or right when they're off work, like right after a stressful time. So like there can be like a trickle of mood from personal. But that's why, like I say, for me, like
boundaries.
Really utilizing training as a leverage point to get de-stress. Right? It's like, this is where you drop those stresses and we get after it, and you can pick them up on your way out. But I don't know if that's the sports thing in me, like you know, because I mean, like, you know, growing up, like, you know, you have personal stuff on the go, but then when you cross those, you get into the practice facility or whatever. It was always nice to like let it go, be with the team, and just let that, and then you can pick it up on your way out, right? But to carry it over, I mean, you might have a conversation, like maybe at practice about your girl or whatever the case may be, but you want to like get out of it as much as possible, right? And just kind of have some fun.
But I think that's one of the big things
release
is
some
like
positive endorphins, right? That's what the stuff is all for.
Once I let her go, That was the one and only client I've had to two, but that's the one and only client I've had to let go as a full personal training business. And it really set my boundaries of what I accepted from a client, what I didn't accept, because I let this person run me a little bit, and it was draining, and I had to do like my meditation in the bathroom, which I will, I had to go in the bathroom and flush out the bad energy and bring in the good energy, because every time she came in, it was just so draining. And I felt bad for her because she was paying me a lot of money, and I didn't want her fitness to be affected.
Yeah, there's some people that I have thought about it for sure, like a lot. Like there's times where I'm like, this person has to go, but then I take a breath and I try to think about it, and then it's like, I calm myself down and almost like develop a little bit more sympathy. But again, it's tough because like there's sympathy, and then there's like, okay, like is this working? Essentially, right? So there's always that boundary of what you're trying to figure out. But no, it's good. That's good.
All right.
I guess we'll go into my. Let's go with who would be right now your favorite entrepreneur, like male or female?
What's really bad is I always get asked this question.
I know, yeah. It's tough.
Could be a client.
A client?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I recently came across this woman, and I've actually known her for a while. Growing up in high school, she was my best friend's mom's best friend. So I've heard of her and everything like that, and I didn't really know what she did or anything like that, but she actually runs all the Keller Williams, and she probably doesn't even know this. I'll tag her in this afterwards, but she runs actually all the Keller Williams, and I kind of think I dissed her a little bit because when she came in, I said, oh, you run the Poco Keller Williams, and she's like, no, I run all the Keller Williams, all 11 of them, I believe.
Get it right.
And I was just like, I'm so sorry for offending you. She's like, no, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
But, she was just in the Vancouver Sun. She's a female entrepreneur. She's one of, I think, I don't know, I don't want to quote, but I think like a very small percentage of women in the real estate market that holds a certain title. I don't know what the title is, I'm not going to go. But so I think it's really cool to see her in such a male-dominant industry, just crushing it. Like, like I've seen her, she's been on my Facebook forever, but she's now a client of mine, and I was like pumped. I'm like, I'm gonna pick your brain, right?
Yeah, it's great when your clients become those resources.
Yeah, like, so I love it. So if I had to look up to an entrepreneur right now, I'd have to say her, because I want to just like get in these sessions and like pick her brain. And I said, so. That's
the best part. One of my most favorite parts about this job, and I love when you just, the people that bring in, and the resources, the knowledge that they have, that's how, like I said, like I've learned so much by just being a trainer, like by just the clients that come in, and the ones that you get to work with, whether it's in business or finance or family coaching, totally. all across the board, right? And just getting different benefits, and women, men, all sorts, right? All different ages, and that's why even with kids, like how much we learn just having a few kids around, and just seeing like what's the in, how they speak in, like what's their body language like, and just staying with it, right? So, no, that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so 3 self-care tips that you recommend for becoming either a better partner, a business owner, or
self-care?
A person. Self-care. Just 3 self-care tips that you have that you would recommend not basically recommend, but what are 3 self-care things that you do in order to become a better person?
Yeah, self-care for me, like from my...
Just 3 things,
okay, so for me personally, reading is big.
Okay.
Learning and reading and always challenging my mind. Not challenging it, but keeping it going and learning something. That's what keeps me motivated.
Reading, okay.
Learning. Just like physical self-care stuff that's big is, I'm going to say like really minimizing sugar.
Okay.
I think that was a huge thing when I started to learn that. Like, I know it's a cliche one, but that's a game changer bar none. Like, it's a long-term longevity game changer. Self-care, number 3, it's going to be tough, but sleep.
Yeah, you love your sleep.
I like quality sleep.
Yeah.
And like sleep meditation and like the stuff that I do to go to bed, like especially when your mind is going. It's been like a few years since I kind of been integrating like sleep meditation, like just having it on my stand has been so nice to have. Like a bit when I've been away at certain times, like to kind of just, I don't like sleeping in other sleepovers. I don't like hotel rooms. Like just like, it's just not my zone.
Yeah.
But having something that distracts my mind from those like awkward, right? Like different sheets and whatnot, right? So, and it
I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep on the table right now if I needed to. I'm a sleeper.
I can sleep, but I always end up getting up and be like, where am I? It's like, I fall asleep, but like I said, more often than not, I'll get up and I'll be like, man, I need my own zone. It's like, I'm a nester. My question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, like, what teacher or coach in your life has had like a significant impact on you? You know, whether it is in school or let's say cheer and dance.
Larivé.
Yeah,
Cheer and dance.
yeah.
No.
Well,
Mr. Larivé was my French teacher.
Yeah.
Hands down, the world's best like teacher. Like, just the commitment to teaching. He taught forever. He was just such an
What about that teacher is it that
he actually cared. He was a teacher to this day that if I could think of, cared about his job, cared about his students. He was mean, he was abrupt. He scheduled a exam that was worth a lot of marks the weekend after our grad, and we complained. We're like, but we're away grad camping. He's like, you better come home on the Saturday because or the Sunday, because it's like Monday morning I want all of you in my class. And he did it because he didn't want us to get hurt. He didn't want us to overdrink. He didn't want us to party. And we were all there that next day. He's like, you will fail your class if you don't show up on Monday morning after grad.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like some teachers,
rude.
the teachers that sometimes we find like are motivating is like someone might really struggle with that type.
My sister did.
Yeah,
no offense,
like,
Al, but my brother and I went through all of Arrivé. My brother and I, same thing. We loved him. My sister's like, I actually hated him. Sorry, Al. But she just hated him because she's more of a creative, free spirit, as people know. My brother and I are very structured. We're at the gym every day on a certain hour. Like, you know, like my brother and I are more likely the same. And my sister, she just said, she's like, I struggled with him. And I was like, I totally get it. But
yeah, like it's the thing. It's like with who personal preference, right? And some.
But that's why.
Some reach and some don't, and it's.
But that's why graduating. I don't know the number of people that actually graduated, but grade 12 wise, graduating, I want to say there was only like maybe 25 of us that started from grade 9 onwards. I think there was like 40 to start. I don't know, quote me, but there was like half of the people that graduated with a French immersion diploma, and you had to get past Lalive. It was like the big boss man, like in like Nintendo. Like you had to get past him, and it was like you had to learn to work with him, and he had to learn to work with you. It was a relationship,
right?
And he was great. My French grammar wasn't great, but my French speaking was so good that it actually saved me. And he even said that. He's like, if you didn't have the tongue for French, he's like, you would have never made it in this class.
Yeah.
So Larivé, hands down, and anyone that's reading this, everyone that's listening will just agree, hands down, he was. I know you guys have Chambers, right?
Yeah, so there's no doubt. Like,
what did Chambers do for you that was inspiring?
Well, for me, like
Chambers
is an odds-on, like, you know, I think universally, like anybody who went to Terry Fox, and if you played sports, like Chambers was your guy. But I think I got to give a shout out to Mr. Lapa, a coach who passed away about 10 years ago. Yeah. And he was one of the greats too. And like anybody who's had Lapa, and he was like a Chambers. When he passed away, that was a big one for me. Like just being.
You went to the funeral too, right?
I did, and that was actually the year I got diagnosed, and I was sick.
Because Larivé passed away, and I went to his funeral. It's kind of like shocking to see how many people are there, right?
Yeah. So I got diagnosed, and it was 3 months in, and it was like I was going through that. Wow, and then like I got the phone call because I just talked to Lapa like about a couple weeks before.
Oh, that's tough.
He died because he had. Yeah, he was trying to lose some weight. He was working out, and he was like, he's like, I'm benching this, and he was really getting after it. And people who kind of saw him around the school saw him like putting in the work, right? So he was, trying to do better for his health, and then he ended up having a heart attack. But Lapa was one of those guys that just was not scared to challenge young men to be better, and it was just there was just no accepting the fact that. Your best effort, man. It was every single day, no matter what. No excuses. I'm a no excuse kind of like that was a Lapa thing. Like there is no excuse. Too tall, too cold, too short, whatever the case may be. Like there was no time for excuses because excuses just leads to failure. And it's just like if you're just gonna be your own roadblock, right? And he's like life is too tough. Things are too tough to basically put your own blockers in. But he gave me my first like man speech when I actually didn't want to play football. Like I started, there was an incident that happened with like a starting quarterback and actually one of my best buddies at the time. And the starting quarterback, or let's say the guy who was supposed to be the starting quarterback actually jumped like one of my best friends in school. And you know me, I'm like, I was a baseball person. So I'm like, this is a luxury thing. So I don't really need this type of stuff, in my life. I was like, I'm going to stand by my best friend and I won't be playing football in grade 11. So, and he came up, basically approached me because I didn't show up to spring training and gave me he was mad. Like he wasn't happy about me not showing up. He basically looked at it as like, you're ditching your brothers here. Like this is more than just like a decision that you're going to make. It's like, if you decide to do this now, you're going to make that decision in every single decision in your entire life. He's like, things are going to get tough. He's like, and he knew me as an athlete being like, do you think you're not going to like play with people you're going to dislike? Like when you go to college or whatever, how far you go. But like, this is a defining moment and if you leave and walk out on your team, like you will guarantee do this for the rest of your life. And I was like, how can I stand in a huddle with a guy who doesn't match my core values, who goes and picks on someone, it's like a bully. Like, this defies what Fox was about, right? So, but yeah, I went back to practice that day, and then like I said, they call it the football gods it didn't work out for that quarterback. He ended up being the backup for that year, so it all worked out. We had a great season, and but he was a huge mentor for a lot of us growing up, in Poco, trying to figure out this football game, because not a lot of us really played it. There we go. Oh, Scott, you've reached your talking activity for the day.
You said it, not me.
Yeah, but yeah, Lapa was
okay.
Good
Moving on.
Yeah, Lapa
was a sign.
Good. Absolutely.
Any questions?
I guess I was going to ask you, like, what's a lesson that your grandma taught you?
Not to have employees.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not joking. No, she was she is still living. She does have Alzheimer's, which is very sad. But she ran a bowling alley in Selkirk, Manitoba, and I would always go there, and I loved helping her. Her and my uncle run it. Actually, my uncle still does run it. And she taught me, one, never to have employees.
Is this a plug? Grandma's Bowlerama?
Yeah, Grandma's Bowlerama. And she was a very hard worker, and you know what? She really loved her clients or like the people that came in, because she was always the first face that they saw. So, they always said nice words about her. She used to do big catering banquets as well, and that's what I would go and help her with. And the words that they said afterwards really resonate with me. They're like, thank you, Joy, so much for all that you do for the bowling alley throughout the year, because her and my uncle are the only ones that ran it, and my aunt as well. But just the three of them ran it, and they had little helpers here and
customer
there.
Service.
Her customer service was on top. Small town, like smaller than Poco, like half the size of Poco, Selkirk, Manitoba. Yes, I live there. No judgment if you know where it is. Small little town, and the only thing in town was a bowling alley and a bar. That was it, and like a little tiny restaurant, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, and that's it. Bam.
I guess another question I was going to parlay into, like, maybe the bowling situation is: are you competitive? Would you define yourself as competitive?
I am, but I know my limits. Yeah, like I just completed that competition with Amber, and I knew I wasn't going to win. She went snowboarding and burnt 1,700 calories on the Saturday, and I burnt, I think, 15, almost killing myself. And then she went snowboarding the next day. I'm like, I have to rest my body. So I'm super competitive, but I know my limits. If I know I'm not going to win, I'm going to back out and listen to my body or my mind or anything like that. But I am super competitive. I do need to be number one. I do need to be the person with the most for the ability that I can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm super competitive, yeah.
Yeah, you're competitive for sure.
And I never played sports. That's the
I was going to ask a question about, let's say, with the female demographic, like, and like, what's your take on like jealousy? And like sometimes you see like let's say gals, I'm sure guys do too, but there's a little bit of like a jealousy element. Is jealousy a healthy thing? Or is it something that you believe is like more detrimental long term to like that? Like, let's say female, because there's competition, and the guys I get competitive, but like, and there probably could be like a little bit of jealousy if like someone takes a spot, but for the most part, I think like for me, from my own vantage point, like I feel like I got lucky by earning my spots, and like I never really got I wasn't really second tier a lot of the time. So I always busted ass, but I never felt that feeling of being jealous of somebody ahead of me.
I'm also not second tier. So if I'm second tier, I know I'm second tier, and I know where I need to get better.
Right.
For instance, in cheer and dance, I was the captain of the cheerleader, or captain of the cheer squad, which was well deserved for the fact that I always took initiative. So we had. Everything was always organized. Oh, here's the sheet, here's the roster, here's what we're doing, here's the comp, here's the money. I was always doing that. So that's why I was the captain.
Is jealousy a good thing though?
No, but I always knew when to pull. Sorry, yeah. So jealousy is not a good thing, because I'm going to go into this.
How do you manage that?
Well, here's the thing, is like back to the cheer team, I was never the first in the line. I always had my girls in the first of the line. I was always the second line. Why? Because I wasn't that good of a cheerleader. I was good, I was captain, but I was more the organizer, and I was more like the router up of people. Like I always made sure people were safe. So I could have easily, and the girl that I beat out for cheer captain was insanely jealous.
Oh, okay.
She's never gonna watch this, but she was so jealous that she literally went into the hallway and was like, F this, like, why the F is she cheer? She sucks at cheerleading. And they're like, because her leadership is up there, and that's what we want in a leader. We don't want the best cheerleader. We want someone that's a leader, because the other that was co-cheerleader with me, she was amazing cheerleader. So you had a really good cheerleader and a really good organizer. So was I jealous of the fact that I wasn't a good cheerleader? No, I was second in line when you do the 1, 2, whatever. I was a base, I wasn't a flyer. I could have been a flyer, I didn't want to.
Right.
But I was never jealous. I was never like, oh, I want to be the front row. Like, no, I knew I wasn't the best dancer, right? So jealousy is detrimental when you take it to business. When you take it to business. If you're looking at someone other's Instagram, or their social media, their business, and you're comparing yourself, you're going to not go far, fast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. It's just such a
Because
funny one.
females will look at other people's businesses and they'll be like, oh, I want to be like her. But you don't know if that girl did or that guy did. You don't know what they're doing when they're sleeping. When you're out having a glass of wine or, watching TV or hanging with your boyfriend, that girl or that guy may be hustling their ass off and you don't know. And because you're not asking questions, because you're not asking for a mentor, you will never be successful if you're jealous. And I've been caught in there because when I started my business, there was one girl, you know who she is, and I used to watch her social media, and I still to this day have her unfollowed because I could not stand comparing myself. And now I see her stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't even bother me.
Huh. Sorry. Oh, what do we got?
Sorry, guys.
Hey-o.
So it doesn't bother me looking at her stuff now. Like, I see it and it's like funny because it's nothing to what I do, but in the same sense, like, I was so incredibly jealous of her because we started our business at the same time, and she was like living in LA and like living here and going to Toronto and like traveling to Bali, and I'm just like, that should be me. And I'm like, okay,
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So
I get it now, yeah.
But watching her, like, people were like, you need to unfollow her because
Right.
if you keep unfollowing her, you're gonna be, anyways.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, so jealousy.
For me, like,
but the minute I unfollowed her, I got better.
Yeah.
Because my values weren't the same as hers. My core values weren't the same. My business wasn't even the same as hers.
Yeah, it's something I've just
Anyways.
never. So for me, this is why it's such an interesting topic because I've never been jealous, but I've been pissed off, and it's not pissed off at the player.
Yeah.
It's more pissed off at the coach. Like a couple different situations was like, this was like when I was like 14 or no.
Like,
yeah,
rattled on that question you just asked me.
No, I think I was like 13. And then anyway, I was trying out for a team. Anyway, I didn't get picked for this summer team, and I was, as I was told, like an odds-on pick, made the team, like a guaranteed make, and I didn't make it because I was the youngest player.
Okay.
And I was pissed, but I wasn't mad at the person that they took. I wasn't like, oh, I'm better than this guy, Like, yes, I was thinking that, but I was more like angry at the coach. So like I was like, frustrated with the fact that I earned my spot. I felt like I played my ass off throughout the year, and
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I statistically and
For some reason they didn't pick you.
But they explained, and it was one of those lessons of you're going to be on this team for the next couple of years, and like it's really hard to accept that when you're young because you don't.
So how do you shake it off?
I was busted up that whole entire summer. That whole summer, I was not myself. I played on the team I was supposed to play on, so I was playing with the 14-year-olds, and I was not myself. I didn't even play good. I think I had like an average year, which kind of proved probably the point. But I'm a person that, again, I feel like you got to play with your competition to get better. And I've always had this weird little knack, like when the competition is down, like I go down with it. When it's high, I go with it. So, and that's the thing. That's something that I've always had to work on. That's why I constantly have to be around people who are pushing me or competitive as well, or not complacent, because again, I'll sink and I'll rise depending on the environment that I'm in. So let's see here. I'm gonna go with give me one celebrity you'd like to see as Prime Minister of Canada.
Garth Brooks.
Garth?
Just kidding.
Is he Canadian?
No, he's not. So I can't pick that. One Canadian celebrity or one celebrity?
One Canadian.
Justin Bieber.
The Biebs? Oh man.
Sorry.
That's
Who would
fine.
you pick?
Shania Twain.
Oh, see, mine's equally as bad. Shania Twain and Justin Bieber equally as. That's actually really funny.
All aboard the Twain train.
Twain good. She looks good right now. I have her on TikTok, and she
Whatever.
looks amazing for her age.
Absolutely. Twain for PM.
What is one? I have a couple quick fire questions. That's it. Do you have any other questions? You want to know about?
No, it's good.
What is the
Rapid
first?
fire.
What's the first thing you do every morning when you get up?
First thing I do every morning is I take my vitamins, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I roll out and got all my whatnots and
Gotcha.
pop them down.
Cool.
There's always a affirmation thing. Oh, vitamins, affirmations,
Okay.
journal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Or let's say. Oh, okay. So with COVID, what's a change that you would like to see?
That's my
post-COVID?
question.
Is it?
You looked at my sheet.
It's one of my life.
That
I
one-
wrote down. What changes would you like to see happen after COVID ends?
Oh, okay. So I thought we had the same question. That was really funny.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
After COVID ends?
Yeah. What's something that you would like to see change, whether from
Honestly, I'm probably gonna get questioned. I think masks in cold and flu season are just should
The
stay.
rage?
I think we should keep the mask during in the fall. I think masks should stay on because I love the
They probably
sneezing
will.
on the apples and the fruits and the vegetables, and I'm picking it I wash it anyways. But masks in a grocery store.
Yeah.
It's food. Masks in Costco. It's food. It's sanitary. If we can keep masks on in high traffic areas, I'm kind of okay with it. I don't want to wear a mask all the time, but I'm you know.
It'll be interesting. A lot of people do
What
think
about you?
that it's going to be a
What's changed after pandemic?
changes,
Before I ask my question,
changes
that's
for a
literally the same.
pandemic, and I really hope that, I know this is going to be really cliche, people focus on and understand how important it is to manage stress. And have something that they can do to manage stress other than, like, let's say cocktails. Figuring out ways. I know, like, that's all part of it, and like it's always nice having a decongesting glass of wine or a brew or something.
Yeah,
But
it's so nice out today too.
it's nice. I would like to see after the pandemic that, you know, people learn to kind of handle stress more and then add more value to your life in some way. Like, get out of that let's say the dogmatic mindset. And
What's one thing that has changed you during the pandemic? Was my question for you. What's one thing that's changed you? What's one thing that you've changed during the pandemic? One thing only. One thing. We're gonna wrap this up pretty soon.
one thing
guys.
that's changed me personally,
Like what's one thing you have changed during the pandemic besides wearing a mask?
like a pandemic.
Yeah, what have you done differently? Like now this has happened, what's one thing that you've changed, like routine wise or anything like that?
I definitely stopped watching the news. Like I stopped. I didn't watch the news before, but I have stopped listening to anything due to anything COVID related. I mean, I obviously have to keep up on certain types of protocols, but as far as like any statistics, any data, I have blocked that stuff. It's like when Trump got elected in 2016, I blocked that out of my brain. I feel like I've blocked everything else out of my brain completely. So like I've gotten more defensive of,
Awesome.
protective of, I guess, the stuff that enters my head, because I feel how influential it can be having all that negative info. Yeah, big time. What about yourself?
I don't know.
The ability to do this?
I don't know. I don't know what I've changed since the pandemic, to be perfectly honest. Like, what have I done differently? Like,
Increased retail shopping?
definitely, I need to stop shopping. My Lululemon
Retail
obsession.
therapy.
Retail
It's a real
therapy
deal.
has I done, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, I need to like
See
cut.
more pants shipped here than ever before.
Yeah, my Lululemon obsession is just like skyrocketed. If you could morph yourself into any body in the world, so any celebrity, any famous person, any business person, any entrepreneur in the world, who would it be?
If I can just be
For one day. You can be one person for one day.
one person for one day.
Don't think too much about it, just one person.
Jordan.
I did
Only one.
guess that. I told the girls this morning, he's gonna say Michael Jordan.
Well, I mean, if it's one person for one day, who cares? I might do it. No, I wouldn't do that. I would do.
So that's chatty today, guys. I apologize.
Let's go with, like, I would maybe want to dive into like a female's skin, like
okay, like a me?
Shonda Rhimes.
Oh my gosh.
Shonda Rhimes.
You'd bring back like, oh, and you'd be like, this whole episode's about Owen.
I want Shonda Land. I would just like do like.
Yeah, she is. I should learn from
Owen
her.
stays.
Owen stays forever.
Karev comes back.
Oh, correct.
Yeah, Karev. Yeah.
All right, I'm good. I'm done. Do you have any questions?
No, that's it.
Awesome.
Wrap it up.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Sweet. Two Trainer Podcast. Check us out on Spotify as well. Apple Podcasts. Give it a listen. Let us know what you think. It's a wrap. Later.